I was on one of my trips to Tijuana, Mexico. And in case you didn't know, Tijuana, Mexico is known for a lot of things. Good, bad. But in my opinion, it is a place for some of the best tacos in the world. Whatever taco you like, Tijuana makes it. Tijuana is a master at it. I don't care where you at. And if you've never been to Tijuana and have tacos, I really don't even want to talk to you about what the best taco is. It's delicious. Now, there's this taco place that I've been going to in Tijuana since, maybe since I was before 10, maybe 8, 9, 10 years old, right about the time I started watching Robotech. And I was back in Tijuana recently visiting friends and family. And after a night of drinking and having fun and with my friend, he asks basically what taco stand I want to go to. And I tell him my favorite taco stand is Las Humaderas, the smokestacks. And it's basically a half a block of nothing but taco shops. And they're really good. And he asked me, why do I want to go there? What do you want to go there for? There's so many better tacos than that place. And there are better places all over Tijuana that have better tacos. But that's not to say that the smokestack taco place, that block, my favorite taco place, isn't good. It really is. It's delicious. But there are other ones that are great. And I told him, you know what? It might not be the best, but it's my favorite. And it's my favorite because I've been going there with family since I was a little boy. I have great memories of eating there. It was probably the first place I went to go eat tacos, and my first real taco experience, or definitely my first memorable taco experience from my childhood. And I've been going back ever since. And again, I realize that they are not the best tacos in Tijuana, which would make it, they might, it's still, like I said, even the second-rate taco place in Tijuana is better than any taco place anywhere else, just about. And while, again, it might not be the best taco place in Tijuana, it's still my favorite. And again, it's delicious. It has everything you want in a taco, and they're cooked fresh right in front of you. A lot of good people come and go, and depending on what time of night you go in there, a lot of interesting characters stop by, and it's really an experience if you get there. I was there once, and there are people that are coming from across the border who've never been to a taco place, and they show up, and they're really blown away because San Diego is just right across the border, and San Diego also has a lot of great Mexican food places and a lot of great taco places too. But it really doesn't compare to Tijuana. It really doesn't, as far as freshness, the way of cooking, and just the preparation overall. And again, the experience is really cool too. So when I think about right about the time when I started watching Robotech, and not to get too into the details as far as what Robotech is, but just to give you a overall generic layman's version of this thing is like by the time Robotech came to America, it was 1985. I was 10 years old at the time. And it was amazing to me. It really was. I'd never seen anything like this. And I spoke about Robotech a little bit before in one of my past podcasts. But the difference was that Robotech was the whole package that I hadn't seen before. The animation was totally different. Of course, you saw Transformers and you saw things like G.I. Joe, which were kind of humanoid sort of cartoons. But the time I saw Robotech, it hit me a lot because it really was more of it was way more than a quote-unquote cartoon. And the music in it was totally different. It was very overproduced to the point where I've seen the Japanese version of Robotech, and it's rare for me to say this, but I prefer the English dub version of this thing. Nowadays, everything is better produced and everything is dubbed totally different, and there's better music, of course, and all that in the overall production. But in those days, by the time this cartoon hit America, they revamped all the music, and it was emotional. It really was. As a susceptible 10-year-old, it was one of the greatest things ever. Actually, by the time it came out, I wasn't 10 quite yet. I was 9 when I started watching this, now that I remember. I would have been 10 that summer. I believe this thing came out in the spring of 1985 in America. I can double check that, but that's neither here nor there. Now, Robotech in America, there's a thing about if you're going to put on a show, it has to be a certain number of weeks, as opposed to in Japan, where I'm not sure if the show came on weekly or daily, but there just wasn't enough episodes in the first installment or the first part of Robotech. Robotech in America is made up of 3 different parts, and I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but just in case you didn't know, Robotech Saga here in America is really 3 totally, completely independent series, crammed together with essentially the only thing that they have in common by the time it hit in America is probably the similarity in the animation, and well, that's probably it. The mecha, the robots and such, and the technology is pretty different from series to series, but the only thing that's kind of constant is the animation. Now, as a 10-year-old, or 9, 10-year-old going on this, I really fell in love with the first part of the saga, the Macro series, basically the SDF-1, Rick Hunter, Min May, if you will, and I love the robots turned into airplanes and fighting the giants. That was amazing to me. I loved it. Then it transitions into the second scene, into the second part. And as a kid, I didn't appreciate those other parts as much. I continued to watch the show, but not as diligent as the first part. I ended up missing a couple episodes here or there. At first, it just didn't really seem as entertaining because all I wanted to do was wish for Max and Rick to come back and those airplanes to come back and save the day. I really thought it was just like the first few episodes were just like a little break or introducing new characters onto the same thing. And it kind of, obviously, they were introducing new characters, but Rick Hunter was never coming back. The SDF-1 was never going to come back. And it took a while for me to understand that, but not in a sense to where I just didn't understand the narration, which when I go back and I watch it again and again, it very clearly stays out in the narration what's going on. But I wasn't really paying attention to that as much as what was going on visually with the cartoon, quote unquote. And the other thing, of course, that Robotech introduced to me as a young kid is the drama in there. There is a lot of drama that's happening on the in the subtext of war and technology and this grand scheme of robots and basically very cool transformers. What happens is that, again, and then that's the second part, and then the third part goes into a completely different, which loses all the characters, and you're supposed to think that they die or something like that, and that there's a new adventure that's happening, and the bad guys gets more and more complicated, sort of thing. Now this is one of the few anime, and I mean very rare anime, that I go back to again and again. I've seen Robotech, I usually like to see at least part of Robotech once a year. Like I'll go through maybe the Macross saga, and then I'll go through the Southern Cross part of it, and then I'll go to the Mospera, the third part of it. Like right now, what I did was I went back and just watched the last part, the third part of the series, and I just get really nostalgic about it. Right now, what's going on is that I have a lot of free time. I've injured my foot, and I've talked about this in my other podcast too, but I don't know if I've talked about this here. Where I've injured my foot, I can't go to work. I can't do anything with it. I can't walk for a while, or I haven't been walking. This is October 25th when I'm recording this, and I haven't been walking since August 5th. I haven't been, or August 8th. I haven't been around. I've been basically in a hospital bed, and then I'm on an e-scooter since I got out of the hospital, and crutches. So I haven't been walking. I haven't been going to work. I have a lot of free time thinking about doing shit, and then just being at home restless, trying not to go crazy. So for whatever reason, these past few weeks, I've been being flooded mentally with all these memories of my childhood. Some are interconnected, some are just completely random that I'm completely just blown away and forgot about, and they come flooding back. And something happened the other day to where I was just thinking about being good old 10-year-old me, and I remembered a weird episode of the last part of the Robotech series. If you guys don't know, there's a weird sequence in it where they go underground, and it's like a Land of the Lost thing. There's dinosaurs in there and pterodactyls and shit like that. And I thought that was so random. So I just popped it on. It's on Netflix. And I just, fast forward or skipped all the way up to the beginning of the first episode, the beginning of the last part, and then just watched it through these last few days. And it just it's beautiful. It keeps coming back to me, what I watched before, what I missed, or what I didn't understand what was going on as a child. And, I try to watch this as an adult, watching it through a child's eye. And I go back and I understand, okay, that was really cool. I understand that the mecha is all right. It still doesn't compare to what was happening in the Macross saga, or the very first segment of it. But it's all right. They mean well. There's a lot more emotional connection between people than in the previous ones. There's a lot more talk about love and loss and war and repercussions that get a little bit more complicated. So I can understand that as a child, I would have lost interest in some of that. But it got me to thinking that I recently watched Evangelion, the first part, and I was not able to connect with it. I don't see people's fascination with it. I watched the whole thing, and I kind of got where it was going. I kind of got why it was cool, but then the final part of it, and I guess this is a big deal with everyone, because to be honest, I didn't even know anything about the ending. I didn't know people's emotions or what people thought about the ending until I actually did research, when I fucking saw it, and I go, what the fuck is going on here? And I just don't get it. I don't see how it is one of the echelons of anime up there, one of the top most regarded anime out there. It's good, it's decent, and I understand that, yes, there's emotional and there's drama, but the ending just really fucking, I don't get it. And it occurred to me that if I would have watched it as a boy, maybe even a young preteen, I think I would have forgiven a lot of that. I would have really appreciated the anime more, and I think it would have made a bigger impact on me than it did as a old man. But it didn't. And I think that's what happens when I try to explain what Robotech means to me to someone who is, well, let's just say cultured in anime, or an experienced anime watcher that probably hasn't seen it, or that has seen it more as an adult and it didn't see it in its original run. I think being 40-something, I'm 44, it'll be the 30th anniversary of Robotech next year, now that I think about it, right? So being 44, I know that I'm losing more and more of the people around me that I have in common with as far as watching anime. I think it at least when I bring up the word anime, people laugh in my age group. And they go, "Why, you still watching cartoons?" Or it's rare to come across someone that's close to my age group. It's definitely easy to find. I mean, my nephew watches anime. He's 18. Definitely between anime watchers between 18, 20, maybe even 30 are easy to find. But I think when we get to my age bracket, people put it away. And it's funny because I think it's probably the most important time to be watching anime, when if you care about storyline, if you care about cinematography and character arc, it's funny that you find it in animation easy and more readily and well done than you do in high-end Hollywood production crap that's coming out. So I understand people's, like, really, do you like that? That's what you're going with. That's Robotech is your favorite. And yeah, it is. It's it's one of those things that as a childhood, it made that big of an impression on me that it's never going to go away. And there's a lot of great animes out there. There's a lot better, there's better drawn, better drama, more accuracy in dubs. But this was my favorite. This is the one I keep coming back to. This was the one that started it all for me. And this is the one I'm going to stick with. And I don't think seeing anime for the last, 30-something years afterwards, I'm okay with it. I keep coming back to it for a reason. And it still stands on its own. And I'm sure all of you have a favorite anime out there that you keep coming back to that's may not be the best, but it's still your favorite. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you later. Enjoy your youth.